Hi there, here's another game from the Slav exchange. This is a game between Mikhail Botvinnik and Arnold Denker from the 1945 Soviet Union USA match. Botvinnik was playing with the white pieces. He won the first game in his system in the Slav, and now he plays with the white pieces, and he also is met with a Slav, but this is a different line because Botvinnik goes into the Slav exchange, which he used quite successfully during his career, and immediately Black tries to take over the initiative with queen to a5, a little over aggressive. Doesn't really take care of development of pieces, doesn't take care of the king development, and backfires. We will see how. It takes some tactical skill from Botvinnik to exploit that inaccuracy in the opening from Denker. So White just tries to finish development, and now he defends the knight with the queen, and now White puts the pressure on that knight. So it seems a little unthematic to just take, even though that was probably a good idea. So Black carries on with pinning this knight yet again, reinforcing the threat on c3. For now, Botvinnik defends, but you can see that not only he defends, he also mobilizes the pieces. These moves, the queen to b3, rook to c1, they're all good developing moves. And the bishop is already threatening to maybe take on d2, on e4 maybe. So Black takes, and now there's already a problem for Black, because now the piece has to move again. He already can't maintain this pressure, and the bishop moves. So does the rook, but the bishop is a little unstable now, and probably here Black could castle, but he would still have to deal with the problem with the b pawn, because the bishop can't move unless the pawn is protected. And so for now, Black tries to defend the pawn, but that actually is probably bad timing. He missed that White can try to open up the game with e4. So Botvinnik was a positional player, but he knew when to open up the game to exploit his advantage. And he also spotted that after the obvious d takes, he doesn't have to recapture immediately, even though that was also possible. There's nothing wrong with taking back. White's fine here. But he decided to exploit the fact that the king is still on e8, and that the light squares are really quite weak in this position, and also that the queen and the bishop on a3 are misplaced, and and he can attack them. And the way he attacks them is he first pins the knight. Now, of course, taking here would backfire because White's gonna win the rook. So instead, Black defends against the pin, and now Botvinnik plays the unexpected knight to d2. Now this knight really wants to come to c4 and trap the queen. And notice that in the case of castle, which was not a bad move probably, White doesn't immediately play knight to c4, because that would walk into the tactical shot knight d4. And the queen hangs and the bishop hangs, and this would be not good for White. He would first defend on d4 and only then threaten knight c4. White would be winning a piece here, actually. But he does win the piece as well in the a6 line. So there's really no good defense for Black at this point. After a6, he exchanged on c6, and now he comes in with knight c4, and it's pretty much all over for Black, because he's just got too much stuff hanging. He's got the queen hanging, and he's got the bishop hanging. He tries to retreat with tempo and attack the bishop, but the bishop can again retreat with tempo, and from d6 the bishop also prevents Black from castling, which is impossible, of course. So Denker tried to just bail with something like e3, that just creates the threat on f2 and doesn't have, and prevents white from taking on a3 immediately, but he's still gonna get that because then the knight takes also back with tempo, and now the queen is attacked and a3 is hanging. So black found nothing better than sacrifice the queen, but in this position he doesn't really have a chance. He doesn't have enough material for the queen, and his his king has to go to d7 just to stop white from winning another piece. And it was very easy for white to convert the advantage because he's up a queen and a pawn for a rook and a piece, and his pieces are much better placed. So the game lasted a few more moves. White just finished development, defended everything, and then started to advance his pawns in the center, and it's unclear how to keep this king alive here. He tries to cover up f5, but then the knight comes on the weak dark squares, tries to cover up f6, but now the knight comes to e5, and just things are hanging all over the place. This is with check. He changes, tries to regain a pawn, but queen check, and I think just something will have to give. I'm guessing there's some easiest probably is no matter where the king goes, he can probably just play rook d1 and come into d6 and win one of those loose. Well, all three of black's pieces are kind of loose. And black doesn't have any compensation for the material that he'll continue losing. So this is a quick game. In the Slav exchange, black sometimes tries to take over the initiative, but it's not justified, and you definitely gotta think twice before you do this against the player or the strength of Botvinnik. And it backfired quite badly for black. He lost in 30 moves, really in more like 15 moves, because that's when the game was decided.